A couple of weeks ago, when it was snowing very heavily, I was driving down the road, and there are cars parked on either side of the road, and the ground was pretty much diced over. There wasn't a whole lot of rootability, and I see some punk-ass kids walking towards my car while I'm driving down the road. Just standing right in the middle of the fucking road. And, I didn't really have room to go around them or anything like that, and the fact is, they're supposed to be walking on the side of the fucking road in the first place. So I just kept on driving, and I was like, fuck it, I don't give a damn. Because where am I gonna go? I can't go around them. I have to go straight through them and just expect these morons to move out of the way like they're supposed to. So I'm driving, and then this one punk-ass kid, he's just standing there like a fucking moron for the longest time. Then finally, because he's about to get run over, he moves out of the way, and then I drive past him, and then he turns around and he says, "Asshole!" Now, I stopped the car. I was like, are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? And I was about to get out, but then I thought, reason came over me. I thought, this kid is probably like a neighborhood kid. Probably lives in the neighborhood. He knows what my car looks like, and I park on the side of the road. So, something might happen to my car one day. If I get out and I talk to the kid, even if I'm just, very calm and collected and say what's what, but do it in a professional manner, he might still get pissed off in his own warped mind and fuck with my car. Maybe fuck with the tires, maybe scrape up the exterior, I don't know. In any case, it's more bullshit it's not worth dealing with that kind of potential bullshit. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it. And I drive off. I know the kid was scared though, because when I stopped my car, he turned around and he looked, and I was like, I looked at him in the rear view mirror, and I was thinking, should I get out? Should I get out of this car? Then I'm like, fuck it. So I keep going. Then, not too long ago, just maybe like last week or the week before or something like that, I saw the kid again. At first I didn't realize it was him. I came out of my house, and then I saw the kid walking down the street. And then I'm like, who's this fucking kid? And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's him. That's the fucking piece of shit. And then I'm looking at him. I'm just, I didn't say anything. And then he starts mumbling something. He saw me, and then he started saying something like under his breath. I couldn't exactly hear what he was saying, but I suspected that it wasn't anything polite. So, I say to him, what? Then what does the kid do? He starts running like a little pussy. He runs down the road as fast as he can. And then I see what house he lives at. I see what house that he goes into, and now I know where he lives. Anyway, these incidents just got me thinking, how much, how do we discipline children? Are there ways to discipline children without using physical violence? Or is it completely unavoidable? Unavoidable. Now, with a kid like this, I blame the parents 100%. To be that disrespectful to just people. This kid, he couldn't have been, like maybe he was 10 or 11 or something like that. He couldn't have been more than that. And for him to be that disrespectful to just strangers, you need to have the most inbred parents in the world, the most hickish, redneckish, uneducated parents that ever existed, who probably should be killed. They probably should be killed. And then, of course, they raised a good-for-nothing son who's going to grow up to be just like them, and then he's going to, raise children to be just like him, and then the cycle will in fact continue indefinitely. Now, what do I think about physical discipline? Do I think like a dumb shit like this needs to have his face punched in a few times? Well, to be honest, I would love to punch him in the face. Not just once, but like maybe at least 7, 8, 9, 10 times. That would make me feel pretty good. But would it actually educate the little punk into realizing that, disrespecting people for no fucking good reason, would that be able to convey that kind of message? Would that get that message across? What would get that message across? Okay, sorry about that. Something happened to the tape, so I had to start and stop. I apologize for that, but where was I? Okay, I wanted to talk about physical discipline. Now, why do we feel pain in the first place? It is a self-defense mechanism. If we feel pain, we know that whatever is causing this pain is undesirable. Our body is telling us to avoid whatever is stimulating this pain. So if you touch, some hot coals, your hand gets burned, you know now not to touch it. Now, in the case of using physical discipline, you can use physical discipline, hitting the kid whenever they do a behavior that you believe is undesirable, like disrespecting your parents, beating up people for no good reason, stealing, whatever. You could, in fact, use some physical punishment, like hitting them, using a stick and hitting them with the stick, or, using a belt or various objects around the house to inflict pain, but not to injure and not to wound, but simply whatever can inflict pain without wounding. That could be used as a tool to show the child, using our biological, this is what we evolved, pain, to use that to make the kid avoid that kind of behavior. And it could in fact work. It could in fact work. Because your body is using pain to tell you to avoid something that's undesirable. And the question is, if our bodies have evolved this very, very efficient in some ways mechanism, self-defense mechanism to help us avoid undesirable behaviors, why not use this as a tool to discipline children? Now, if you do decide to use this, it has to be done properly. You have to administer the punishment right away, immediately, so they are able to correlate the physical punishment with the act. Okay, it can't be delayed. It has to be severe, but not to cause injury, and it should never be done in anger. You have to make the kid think that you're angry, but you should not be angry, actually. You should be cognizant of the fact that you love your child, you are doing this for his own good, but you're not doing this in anger. If you ever get angry and you want to do it, you shouldn't do it. Because this is what it's supposed to be done for. It's supposed to modify behavior. That's what it's supposed to do. That's it. You're not trying to punish them for revenge. This is not like how we punish criminals in the real world. No, you're trying to raise a son to comport himself properly in society. So it's never done in anger. Never done for revenge. So it could in fact work. However, it does inflict pain and suffering. And it could have negative repercussions. If you're just... There's a fine line between physical discipline or corporal punishment and abuse. It's abuse when it's done in anger, when it's done excessively, and when it's done for no good fucking reason. Or for petty, personal reasons, done in anger. That's when you know it's abuse. Like when you're just beating the kid for no reason when you get drunk. That's abuse. No doubt about it. Now the question is, let's get back to whether we should do this or not, because it does inflict pain and suffering, and it could have long-lasting effects on the child in a negative way if it's not done properly. Well, I personally believe that there are other ways of disciplining a child. I do not want to hurt my child. I don't want to inflict pain and suffering on my child. I do think that there are other ways, like taking away certain freedoms, privileges. They can't have sweet things for a while. They can't go and hang out with their friends. They can't go outside and play. Maybe you can take away their privilege of playing video games or stuff like that. Little things here and there to restrict their rights, so that they know that they have a punishment. And you have to talk to them. You have to yell at them, and you have to be very clear about why you are angry with them, even though you're not actually are angry with them. You shouldn't be, at least. You have to make them think that you are, though. You explain to them in a coherent way why their behavior was undesirable and why they are being punished. And you have to be consistent, because if you give in, then they're going to think that they can, it's the old give them an inch, they take a mile thing, So you can't do that too. You have to be firm. So I do believe, like, if I have children, I don't want to hit them, because I believe that hitting them could have more adverse side effects than positive side effects. And I don't want to hurt my children, and I believe there are other ways of disciplining them. Now, with that said, I don't know if I'm going to have a genetic monstrosity like that punk kid that I met on the street. Maybe there is something in the genetics that causes this child to become rambunctious regardless of my discipline and my punishments. Then I need to seek other methods to ensure that this kid is sculpted into a properly functioning human being. And that's what the parents of this child, they are not doing that. They are not raising this child properly. And unfortunately, because of that, one day, he might be killed. Some guy who it just doesn't feel like taking this kid's shit is just gonna lay him out and then start hitting him until, he's all bloody in the face. And maybe, who knows, maybe somebody might take a gun and shoot the kid. So, if you are in this world and you're just being an asshole to everyone, you're not gonna make it. And your kids are not gonna make it. And if you're a fuck up parent who doesn't know how to discipline your children properly, then you should be killed. Simple as that. Simple as that. Because you are the problem. You are a worthless parent. And you should be ashamed of yourself. Any parent who spends more time watching football than answering their kids' questions is a fuck up parent. If your child is asking you questions, being inquisitive, being curious, and you are condemning them for asking those questions, then you are a worthless parent. You are a scumbag, and you should be killed. Because you don't deserve to live on this planet. You don't deserve to breed. A kid has questions. He wants to know more. He wants to know more about the world around him. It is your responsibility to answer his questions, all of them. And if you don't know the answer to them, you should tell the kid, I'm not really sure. Let's go online and let's check it out. Or let's go to the library together and let's investigate this. You have a responsibility to do that, you worthless piece of shit. Now, as for that kid, I'd love to fucking punch him in the face. I think he's too far gone. I think I would love to punch his fucking parents in the face. That fucking bitch! Those little sons of bitches! They are the worst. Like, those hick parents, I fucking hate them. They are scumbags. And I know it's all their fault. And they turned that kid into a monstrosity. And I think that kid cannot be helped anymore. How I was talking about you should not hit kids in anger? Well, I'm angry now. Because that kid should not be disrespecting his elders. Military school is really the only option, I think, at this point for that kid. And for the parents. Those parents should be brought out into public square. That kid should go to military school, and those parents should be brought out into public square, and they should be whipped. At least 8 times. In front of everyone. And then we gotta say, this is why we're doing it. Because this kid said asshole to Enigma Hood, among other things, and you know that